You stand in the center of a crowded room. Perhaps it is a pub in Soho or a corporate function in the city. The air is thick with the noise of social friction, laughter, clinking glasses, the rhythmic drone of small talk. You look around and you witness a seamless performance. People are connecting. They are mirroring each other's postures, laughing at jokes they do not find funny, and exchanging platitudes that vanish the moment they are spoken. To the average observer, this is a scene of human connection. To you, it is a theater of the absurd. You feel a cold, heavy weight in your chest. It is a specific frequency of silence. Society, in all its well-meaning ignorance, tells you this silence is a symptom. The modern world, obsessed with extroversion as the primary metric of mental health, tells you that if you are alone, you are broken. They label you antisocial. They label you maladapted. They tell you that you have failed the fundamental test of being a primate, the ability to blend into the troop. But they are fundamentally wrong. What if I told you that your solitude is not a defect, but a sophisticated biological defense mechanism? What if the reason you struggle to maintain a wide circle of friends is not because you lack the social skills, but because your neurobiology is wired to reject the artificial? There is a concept in evolutionary psychology that we shall call the apex paradox. It posits a brutal trade-off. As an organism becomes more specialized, more efficient in its cognition, and more dangerous in its capabilities, its social circle naturally shrinks. The sheep herds in the thousands for safety. The lion prides in the dozens for cooperation. But the tiger walks alone. If you are listening to this, you have likely felt out of place for the majority of your existence. You have attempted to wear the mask of normalcy. You have tried to care about the football scores, the celebrity scandals, the mundane recycling of daily events. But the mask never fits. It slides off. You are here because you suspect that there is something structurally different about the way your mind processes reality. You are correct. In this documentary, we are going to dissect the 7 rare traits found in the solitary elite. These are not personality quirks to be medicated. These are evolutionary adaptations to be sharpened. We are going to deconstruct the psychology of the outsider. By the end of this analysis, you will understand why your standards are terrifying to the average person, and why your solitude is, in fact, your most lethal weapon. But a word of caution: this is not a validation for the fragile. We are going to destroy the victim mentality you may be harboring. We are going to look into the mirror, and you may be unsettled by what stares back. Welcome to the diagnosis of the sovereign mind.
Chapter 1. Hyperacute Pattern Recognition. The Curse of the Watcher. Let us begin with the first, and perhaps most burdensome trait: hyperacute pattern recognition. Most human beings sleepwalk through their social interactions. They operate on what psychologists call scripts. Someone says, "How are you?" The script dictates the response, "I am fine." It is a low-energy exchange. They listen to the surface-level data, the words, "I love you," "I support you," "we are friends." They accept these phonemes at face value because it is comfortable. It requires zero caloric expenditure to believe a lie if the lie makes you feel safe. You do not have this luxury. In fact, you are physiologically incapable of it. If you find yourself with few friends, it is highly probable that you possess a cognitive trait known as thin slicing on an overdrive setting. This concept, popularized in behavioral psychology, refers to the ability to find patterns in events based only on narrow windows of experience. However, for you, this is not a skill you turn on, it is a filter you cannot turn off. Your brain does not listen to what people say, it analyzes what they do. It tracks micro-expressions, the fleeting, involuntary facial movements that occur in 1/25th of a second, revealing true emotion before the social mask can be applied. When a colleague compliments your work, but their orbicularis oculi muscle fails to contract, meaning their eyes do not crinkle, your brain registers threat or envy before they have even finished the sentence. When an acquaintance agrees with your political view, but their vocal pitch rises by a semitone and their blink rate increases, you hear the dissonance, you hear the deception. For the average person, a social gathering is a fun exchange of energy. For you, it is a deafening, chaotic stream of raw data. You are watching a room full of people pretending. You are observing the suppression of their true nature to fit into the dominance hierarchy. And because you see the performance, you cannot participate in it without feeling a profound sense of nausea. It feels like being an actor in a play, where everyone knows the lines but you. Or rather, worse, you know the lines perfectly, but you refuse to speak them because they are untrue. This makes you dangerous to be around. People who live in denial possess a subconscious radar for those who see the truth. When you are in a group, you often stay silent, not out of shyness, but out of observation. And people feel this observation. It makes them uneasy. It triggers their own insecurities. They will call you intense. They will call you judgy. They will call you hard to read. Translate these euphemisms. What they truly mean is, you are a mirror, and I do not like my reflection. If you have lost friends throughout your life, you must ask yourself a difficult question. Did you lose them, or did you expose them? Did they leave because you were toxic, or did they flee because you were the only person in the room who didn't buy their act? Your solitude is the tax you pay for your clarity. You have an allergic reaction to disingenuous behavior. While others can swallow the poison of inauthenticity and smile, your system rejects it immediately. You are not lonely. You are simply incapable of being lied to.
Chapter 2. The Intolerance for Social Entropy. Thermodynamics of the Mind. We move now to the laws of physics, specifically the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. In physics, entropy states that all systems tend toward disorder, toward randomness, toward noise. Unless energy is applied to maintain order, things fall apart. Apply this to social dynamics. Most social interaction is high entropy. It is noise. It is random. Did you see that program on telly? Can you believe this weather? I hate my boss. It is the recycling of dead information. It serves a phatic function, bonding through sound, but it carries no informational weight. If you have few friends, it is because you possess a rare psychological profile known as high need for cognition, NFC. This is not merely about being clever or having a high IQ. It is a biological drive. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology indicates that individuals with high openness and high intellect physically suffer when forced to engage in shallow interaction. It is not just boring, it is depleting. It drains your dopamine reserves. It spikes your cortisol. Small talk to you is not polite, it is theft. It is the theft of your finite time on this earth. Visualize Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most of the world operates at the bottom tiers: survival, safety, belonging. Their conversations naturally reflect this. They talk about people, they talk about events, they talk about the immediate preservation of their comfort. You, however, operate at the apex: self-actualization, transcendence. You want to talk about ideas. You want to discuss the trajectory of artificial intelligence, the ethics of genetic engineering, the collapse of historical empires, or the nature of consciousness itself. When you attempt to introduce these topics at a standard dinner party, what happens? Silence, awkward stares. Someone laughs nervously, a mechanism to release tension, and changes the subject back to something safe, something entropic. You are viewed as too heavy, too serious, a buzzkill. So you are presented with a binary choice. Option A, you can lobotomize yourself. You can dumb yourself down, feign excitement about the celebrity gossip, and pretend to be enthralled by the mundane, purely to maintain the illusion of friendship. Option B, you accept the silence. Most people choose the lobotomy. They would rather be surrounded by fools than stand alone with their own thoughts. The fear of the void is greater than the pain of stupidity. You chose the silence. This is not arrogance. This is energy economics. You realized long ago that you have a finite amount of mental energy, what psychologists call cognitive bandwidth. Spending it on social entropy feels like burning banknotes to heat a room. It is inefficient. You crave the deep dive. You want the 3 a.m. conversation about the strategy of war or the meaning of death. And because 99% of people are terrified of those depths, 99% of people cannot be your friend. You are a deep-sea diver in a world of wading pools. Do not apologize for your depth. The Atlantic Ocean does not apologize for being deep, simply because the swimmer is afraid of the bottom.
Chapter 3. The autoimmune response to authority, the Sigma pattern. Let us delve into the darker aspects of your psyche. There is a trait that is often misdiagnosed in childhood as oppositional defiant disorder, ODD. However, in the adult intellect, if channeled correctly, it is the defining trait of the genius and the revolutionary. It is the autoimmune response to arbitrary authority. Most friendship circles are not democracies, they are tyrannies, they are microcults, they have unwritten rules enforced by social pressure. We dislike this person, so you must dislike them too. We hold this political view, so you must hold it too. We are going to the pub tonight, so you must come too. This is the herd instinct, the biological urge to conform, to stay safe within the group. In the 1950s, the psychologist Solomon Asch conducted a series of conformity experiments that revealed a terrifying truth about human nature. He showed that 75% of people will agree with an obvious lie, stating that a short line is longer than a long line, simply because the rest of the group said so. They denied the evidence of their own eyes to avoid the pain of standing alone. You are in the 25%. You are the glitch in the matrix. When a social circle demands your compliance without logic, your brain triggers a threat response. You do not feel safe in the herd. You feel suffocated. You possess a high degree of autonomy. You cannot respect a person simply because they hold a title or are popular. You cannot agree with an idea simply because it is trending on Twitter. You require logic. You require proof. You require competence. This makes you a terrible friend to narcissists. Narcissists collect friends like accessories. They want entourage members who nod and clap. You do not nod. You ask, why? And why is the most dangerous word you can speak to a fragile ego. Because you cannot be controlled, you are often cast out. Groups will label you difficult, arrogant, or not a team player. They will attempt to exile you to break you. They hope that the pain of loneliness will force you to come crawling back, ready to obey their social contracts. But this is where you confuse them. You do not crawl back. You thrive. You use the exile to build. This trait, this inability to be a sheep, is why you are alone. But it is also why you are free. While they are trapped in a web of social obligations, debt, and performative lies, you are walking your own path. You have traded popularity for sovereignty. And make no mistake, sovereignty is a lonely kingdom.
but it is the only one worth ruling. History is written by those who said no when the rest of the world said yes. Galileo, Nietzsche, Orwell. They were not the life of the party. They were the ones watching the party burning, taking notes on why it was burning. You are cut from this cloth, and fabric of this quality is rare.
Chapter 4. The Architect's Obsession. The Zero-Sum Game. Let us strip away the romanticism and look at the logistics of greatness. Most people treat their lives like a waiting room. They are waiting for the weekend. They are waiting for the holiday. They are waiting for retirement. They use friends primarily as an anesthetic, a way to kill time, so they do not have to face the emptiness of their own lack of production. You, however, feel the passing of time like a physical wound. You are not here to wait. You are here to build. Whether it is an enterprise, a body of literature, a scientific breakthrough, or your own physical constitution, you are possessed by a vision of what you could become. This is the architect trait. And here is the brutal truth about building something monumental. It requires a monomaniacal focus. Modern neuroscience shows us that the human brain has two primary modes of operation that are anti-correlated. We have the default mode network, DMN, which is active during socializing, daydreaming, and ruminating on the past or future. Then we have the task-positive network, TPN, which is active during deep focus, flow states, and complex problem-solving. Here is the biological constraint. When one network is on, the other is forced to switch off. You cannot build an empire and maintain a thriving, chaotic social life simultaneously. The neural pathways are mutually exclusive. History provides us with the ultimate case study in Isaac Newton. While at Trinity College, Cambridge, Newton did not spend his evenings in the taverns, debating politics or courting popularity. He isolated himself. He became what his contemporaries called aloof. But in that silence, in that principia of solitude, he decoded the laws of gravity and motion that govern the very universe we inhabit. Had Newton been obsessed with being liked, we would likely still be in the dark ages of physics. You have likely realized that every hour you spend in a pub listening to someone complain about a problem they refuse to solve is an hour you have stolen from your future self. It is a theft of potential. So you started saying no. No to the drinks. No to the parties. No to the hanging out. And when you say no enough times, the invitations cease. Good. This is not rejection. This is a filtration system. You are clearing the construction site. You are hanging the Do Not Disturb sign on your life. If you have no friends, it might be because you are currently in a metamorphosis phase. The caterpillar dissolves completely inside the cocoon. It has no social life in there. It is total destruction and reconstruction. If you are in that phase, solitude is not a burden. It is a biological necessity.
Chapter 4. The Biology of Solitude. The Cortical Arousal Theory. But is this merely a choice, or is it hardwired? Critics will tell you that you are simply antisocial. Let us silence them with biology. We must look at the reticular activating system, RAS, in your brainstem. In the 1960s, the psychologist Hans Eisenach proposed the cortical arousal theory. He demonstrated that introverts and high-intellect individuals have a naturally high baseline of cortical arousal. Your brain is already buzzing with electrical activity. You are highly sensitive to dopamine. You do not need external stimulation to feel alive. In fact, too much external noise pushes you over the edge into overstimulation and anxiety. Contrast this with the extrovert, the social butterfly. Their baseline arousal is low. They are chemically bored. They require constant external stimuli,
loud music, crowds, constant chatter, just to bring their brain activity up to a normal functioning level. They are dopamine junkies, scavenging the environment for hits of validation. You are not a junkie. You are a nuclear reactor. Your fuel source is internal. When you withdraw from the crowd, you are not hiding. You are regulating your neurochemistry. You are protecting your cognitive resources. Society is designed for the extrovert. The open-plan offices, the networking events, the collaborative learning environments, these are designed to feed the dopamine-starved brain. For a brain like yours, wired for deep processing and high acetylcholine usage, the neurotransmitter of focus, these environments are hostile. So stop pathologizing your nature. You are not a broken extrovert. You are a functioning introvert operating in a world that does not understand your operating system.
Chapter 5. The Unconscious Mirror. Jungian Projection. Now we descend into the shadow. This is the psychological reason why your very presence seems to trigger hostility in others, even when you have said nothing. Have you ever walked into a room, remained polite but quiet, and felt people dislike you immediately? Have you been targeted by a manipulator for no apparent reason? It is not because you are weak, it is because you are a screen. People with high self-awareness and low social need act as a blank screen upon which others project their own demons. This is the Jungian concept of the shadow. When a person who is fake, insecure, and desperate for approval meets you, someone who is contained, self-sufficient, and comfortable in silence, they do not see you. They see the part of themselves they have repressed. They see their own lack of courage. They see the version of themselves that they failed to become. Your silence makes them hear their own internal noise louder. Your independence mocks their dependency. You become a walking, breathing reminder of what they are not. And because the fragile human ego cannot handle shame, it converts that shame into aggression. They attack you to destroy the mirror. If you have no friends, it is often because you refuse to help people hide from themselves. Most modern friendships are codependent delusions. I will tell you that you are right if you tell me I am pretty. I will validate your victimhood if you validate mine. It is a trade agreement of lies. You do not sign the treaty. When someone complains about a problem they created, you do not say, "Poor you." You ask, "How are you going to fix it?" You break the contract. And when you break the contract of mutual delusion, you become the villain. Understand this. Being the villain in a loser story is a compliment. It means you have retained your reality. You are not isolated because you are unlikable. You are isolated because you are undeniable.
Chapter 6. Temporal Displacement. The Cassandra Complex. This leads us to the disconnect in time. We live in an era of hyper-hedonism. The culture is obsessed with the now, the next scroll, the next drink, the next purchase. The herd lives in the immediate present, slaves to the pleasure principle. You, however, likely live in the future. This is a trait found in high-level strategists, visionaries, and, ironically, the chronically anxious. You are constantly simulating future timelines. You see cause and effect miles before they manifest. This creates a phenomenon I call temporal displacement. When your peers say, "Let's just have fun tonight, don't worry about tomorrow," your brain screams. To you, tomorrow is the only thing that matters. You see the consequences. You see that the habit they are building today leads to the divorce in 10 years. You see that the business idea they are mocking is the one that will change the market. You are speaking a different language. You are mentally living 5, 10, 20 years ahead of your biological age. This makes connection nearly impossible. How can you connect with someone who is distraught over a microdrama at the office when you are analyzing the trajectory of the global economy or the collapse of Western demographics? It feels like a parent trying to relate to a toddler. You can love the toddler, you can protect the toddler, but you cannot be friends with the toddler. This creates the profound isolation of the watchman. You are up on the wall,
scanning the horizon for the wolf while everyone else is sleeping in the city below. They call you paranoid, they call you a buzzkill, until the wolf comes. Then suddenly, they want to be your friend, they want your protection, they want your foresight. But by then, you have usually realized that you cannot save people who refuse to open their eyes. You have to walk alone towards the future, or stay behind and die in the past with them. You chose the future, and the future is a lonely place, because no one else has arrived there yet.
Chapter 7. The Autotelic Personality. The Unbreakable Engine. We arrive now at the final trait, the rarest of them all. The one that makes you not just misunderstood, but actively feared by the collective. It is the autotelic personality. Most human beings are external combustion engines. To run, they require fuel from the outside. They need compliments to feel worthy. They need attention to feel seen. They need validation to feel real. If you leave an average person alone in a room for 3 days with no phone, no contact, and no feedback loop, they unravel, they hallucinate, their ego dissolves because it has no reflection to latch onto. They are parasites of the social consciousness. You are different. You are a nuclear engine. Your fuel source is internal. Psychology defines the autotelic personality from the Greek autos, self, and telos, goal, as someone who finds purpose and satisfaction within the activity itself, not in the external reward. You do not do things for the applause, you do them because you must. You read because you need to know. You lift weights because you need to be strong. You create because the idea is burning a hole in your cerebral cortex. This makes you immune to the greatest weapon society possesses, social leverage. Think about it. How does society control the individual? Through the threat of exclusion. If you do not agree with us, you cannot sit at our table. If you do not conform, we will cancel you. This threat works on 99% of the population because they are terrified of starvation, the starvation of validation. But what happens when they try this on you? They say, "We will ignore you," and you reply, "Good, I have books to read, I have work to finish." They say, "You will be alone," and you reply, "I prefer it." This terrifies them. A person who does not need others is a person who cannot be manipulated. You are a glitch in their power dynamic. If you have no friends, it is often because people instinctively realize they have no leverage over you. They cannot bribe you with attention. They cannot punish you with silence. You are self-sustaining, and in a world of parasites, the self-sustaining organism is the enemy.
Chapter 8. The Reconstruction Protocol, Machiavelli's Mask. So, what is the solution? How do you live in a world that was not designed for your architecture? Do not make the mistake of total withdrawal. That is the path of the hermit, and the hermit has no influence. You must stop viewing your solitude as a prison and start viewing it as a laboratory. This is your monk mode. This is your training arc. If you have no friends right now, the universe has handed you a gift. It has cleared the board. It has removed the noise. It has given you the one resource every great man and woman in British history fought for: time and silence. Here is your operational protocol for the next 12 months. Phase 1. Radical standardization. Stop apologizing for your requirements. If you require depth, loyalty, and intelligence, and you cannot find it, then you starve. You do not eat garbage simply because you are hungry. You maintain the standard because the moment you lower the standard, you signal to your own subconscious that you are willing to accept mediocrity. Phase 2. The signal strategy. You cannot find the others by chasing them in bars or clubs. You find them by becoming a beacon. A lighthouse does not run around the coastline looking for boats. It stands tall, it is immovable, and it shines its light. The boats navigate to it. How do you shine? By building, by becoming undeniable in your craft. When you operate at the highest frequency of competence, you emit a signal. The other wolves will see it. They will find you. Your tribe is not hiding. They are simply working. Phase 3. The Mask of Sanity. This is the most critical lesson for survival in the corporate or social world. While you wait for your tribe, you must survive in the village. Do not go around telling everyone you are an apex predator. Do not tell your colleagues you think their conversations are entropic noise. That is socially suicidal. Learn to wear the mask lightly. Be polite. Be kind. Use small talk as a tool, not a lifestyle. View social interaction as spycraft. You are an undercover agent behind enemy lines. You smile. You nod. You ask about their weekend. You blend in. But you never forget that it is a disguise. You never let the mask fuse to your face. Keep your inner world secret. Share your true thoughts only with those who have earned the security clearance to hear them. For everyone else, give them the weather, give them the football, give them what they can handle. Protect your power by hiding it.
Epilogue: The Sovereign Individual. Let us be honest about the cost. This path is hard. The outlier path is not the path of happiness in the commercial sense. It is the path of meaning. Happiness is cheap. You can buy happiness with a pint of lager and a mediocre conversation. Meaning is expensive. Meaning costs you everything. It costs you the comfort of the herd. It costs you the illusion of safety. But the payoff is a life that is actually yours. Most people die without ever having lived. They lived a script written by their parents, their teachers, and their fears. They die surrounded by people, but they die strangers to themselves. You might walk alone. You might endure cold nights. But when you look in the mirror, you see a human being, not a reflection of a reflection. You possess your own mind. You possess your own soul. And that is a luxury that money cannot buy. Solitude is the tax you pay for freedom. And if you are willing to pay it, you become something the world has almost forgotten. A sovereign individual. Look at your life right now. Look at the empty chair across from you. It is not empty. It is reserved. It is reserved for loyalty. It is reserved for truth. It is reserved for the rare few who can meet you at the summit. Until they arrive, do not fill it with ghosts. Do not fill it with noise. Honor the empty chair. Honor the silence. Because in that silence, you are building the capacity to hold a conversation that can change the world. You are not lonely. You are simply the first one at the meeting point. Wait for them. They are coming, but they only come to those who can endure the wait. If this analysis has resonated with you, understand that this is only the surface. There are truths about human nature and dark psychology that the algorithm suppresses. If you are ready to remove the mask completely and study the architecture of power, click the link in the description or the join button below. Step into the architect level. Most won't. That is precisely the point.